What's going on, guys? Gorilla Ray here. Today I'm bringing you a video going over one of my favorite weapons in Battlefield Hardline, the ACWR. Now, I understand some people will not be able to even use this weapon, so this review may not be as important, but it still will go over the basic assault rifles and carbines in Battlefield Hardline. So with the ACWR, if you pre-ordered the game Battlefield Hardline, you will have gotten this weapon, and I gotta say, it is probably my favorite weapon to use so far. Obviously, if you did not pre-order, you're not at any disadvantage, because you still have some very good assault rifles and carbines to use in Battlefield Hardline, like let's say the M416 or the M16A3. Those two may even be considered better than the ACWR, but I personally really enjoy using the ACWR. I just recently got it to 1,000 kills with it, so I got gold camo, and I'm going to show you guys that in a little bit. But in this video, I'm basically going to be showing you my main setup and also giving you, I guess, the pros and cons for this weapon, what it's good at, what it's bad at. I'm not going to go into detail too much about the numbers, because that gets kind of boring after a while if you guys hear all these numbers getting thrown at you. So I'm just going to give it to you straight and give you guys my personal opinion on this weapon. So I'm sorry again for people who do not have this weapon. I do apologize. I will be doing reviews on, let's say, the M416 and the M16A3 in the future. But for now, this is the weapon that I've used the most, so I figured I'd give you guys my take on it and my opinion on it. So let's take a look at this weapon right now. Alright guys, so here is the ACWR. I'm going to show you guys the attachments and go over my favorite setup with this weapon. So as you can see, it is in the operator class, and this really helps out with, I guess, being the most balanced class overall, with being able to revive teammates and also helping out with, I guess, giving out health and whatnot. So I tend to use the operator class almost all the time. I rarely use any of the other ones, just because of how good the weapons are in the operator class, like the ACWR. So let's look at the attachments here. For the optic, my go-to optic in any battlefield basically has always been the Cobra RDS. It's got such minimal, it takes up such minimal amount of your screen. It's almost non-existent. It's so easy to follow targets with this sight, basically because it takes up none of your screen. So you can really follow targets and be able to see a very clear sight down your sight. It also has a really cool reticle, and personally, I have always used Cobra RDS on all of my guns. Next, we got the accessory. I tend to always use the extended mags. You can, I guess, use flashlight or tactical light, maybe a laser sight if you're worried about close combat and firing from the hip. But having extra bullets in your magazine is always going to be beneficial, and personally, this is what I always use. Next, we have the muzzle. So muzzle is really up to you guys. The heavy barrel, though, really helps out with this weapon because of the high fire rates with the ACWR. It may be somewhat difficult to pick off enemies at further ranges, but with the heavy barrel, this really evens that out and helps you, I guess, tech fire against enemies that are pretty far away and be able to kill them at far distances. So you're going to see in the gameplay in a little bit that I'm able to pick off enemies pretty far away by just tap firing. Having the heavy barrel really helps, and personally, it's my go-to on a lot of the carbines and assault rifles. Next, we have the grip. The grip, like always in Battlefield, the stubby grip is probably going to be the best case scenario for all-around combat. You can mix it around with maybe the angle grip or the vertical grip, but personally, stubby grip and angle grip are what I tend to use. Mainly I use a stubby grip, but in some of the games I tend to use angle grip just because it increases your control and maneuverability. But overall, stubby grip will increase your accuracy and your maneuverability as well. So stubby grip basically is what I use on almost all of my assault rifles and carbines. So next, like I was stating earlier, the gold-plated camo. As you can see on the right, it basically takes up almost the barrel of the gun, and that's it. So some people might be kind of disappointed with that. Personally, the look of a gun, I guess, doesn't really bug me too much. But as you can see, if we go to just regular ones, it actually takes up the full gun and covers it all, like the stock and the main body of the weapon. So personally, the metallic on this gun doesn't look the greatest, but still it's gold camo and it still looks pretty cool. And I'm still glad that I got to 1,000 kills with this weapon. So next I'm going to go over the pros and cons of this weapon and what it really works at and what's really best at in Battlefield Hardline. Alright, so to go over the main advantages and disadvantages for the ACWR, I'm going to be comparing it to two other weapons, the M416 and the M16A3. Both probably considered to be the other two best weapons in Battlefield Hardline. So right away I noticed with the ACWR is it has very, very minimal recoil. Right away I noticed that the control and accuracy of this weapon is insane. You're able to stay on your target basically any distance and be able to really put as many bullets in an enemy at any distance better than the M416 and the M16A3. Both of those are pretty good when it comes to that, but the ACWR does probably reign over the three when it comes to that. With the minimal recoil, the better control, and really good accuracy, I really think that's the biggest advantage when it comes to the ACWR out of the three. So those are the biggest advantages. Another advantage I noticed is the reload speed. The reload speed is actually quite significantly shorter than the M416 and the M16A3. So being able to get back in action quicker than other weapons, I mean, obviously is an advantage. Being able to reload and get back shooting, you're not going to get shot while reloading as much as you do with, let's say, the M416 and the M16A3. So disadvantages now. The main disadvantage, obviously, with the ACWR, it only does 25 damage. The M416, M16A3 both do 28 damage. So it may be a big difference for you guys, and you guys may think, okay, well, it does less damage, it must be not as good of a weapon. Well, being able to stay on a target and put more bullets into an enemy may be more beneficial than actually doing 3 more damage. So that's personally why I believe that the ACWR is actually still a very good weapon, even though it does less damage. You're able to put more bullets into an enemy because you're able to stay on them because of the minimal recoil. So really, it's also a preference point for you guys. So if you guys want to be able to do more damage to an enemy, I mean slightly more damage to an enemy, then go ahead and use the M416 and the M16A3, because those are both very good weapons. Don't get me wrong, they're the best weapons in the game, these three weapons, I believe. So obviously it's up to you guys in your game style what you think is more versatile in general when it comes to certain game types and certain scenarios. So I really think the ACWR is extremely good. I think that the weapon in general can hold up its own even though it does less damage. So another disadvantage I notice is the muzzle velocity. The muzzle velocity for this weapon is actually a little slower than the M416 and the M16A3. So being able to fire at a faster rate means you don't have to lead your target as much. So with the M416 and the M16A3, you're not going to have to lead the target as much. Now, it's not that big of a deal to me because the ACWR has such minimal recoil that it's really easy to lead your target and you get used to it pretty quickly. So it's not that big of a deal, and I feel like you can get used to it pretty quickly. So those are the main advantages and disadvantages I noticed. The main advantages being the minimal recoil, the good control and accuracy, as well as the reload speed. The disadvantages obviously being the damage and the muzzle velocity. So overall, like I said, this weapon is extremely good. I plan on doing reviews on the M416 and the M16A3, so look for those in the future. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe for more weapon reviews like this in Battlefield Hardline. So thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you all later.